Hi everyone. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about data marts and data warehouses, why they are so important. When we think about it, data number one is everything we can capture. Number of computer screens behind me to the number of chairs. All this has a business idea and a concept, and somebody wants to capture this data to understand why we use it and what we're using it for. That's why data is so important to be warehoused and stored and kept. We use analytics to understand whether or not the sunk costs inside this room we're looking at right now are an effective choice or not. A sunk cost is essentially the desk, the computer, the chair, whatever we need for the traditional classroom. You may think of this on the online world as, to be a student, I actually have to have a laptop, or I have to have the software. I have to buy a chair to work at home with. These are all kind of sunk costs, something you have to have for the investment of this. Where big data comes in mind is actually we're looking at how we can use this information to make business decisions in this world. Big companies like Target use it to restock their shelves. They look at the time, the season, and the numbers of how many jeans are sold at what period of time versus how many shorts. They may decide through these business decisions of the data saying, well, obviously people are buying shorts in June, July, and August. We'd want to have an influx in inventory ready to go by late April, early May. So it's ready for you when you walk in the store. Because if you walk in the store and you don't have what you want, shorts, and all they have is jeans, you're not going to buy them. Vice versa, if you walk in the store in October, they've probably looked and analyzed their data to understand we need to stock jeans because people are interested in cold weather or changing to cold weather, so they want to be prepared. These are all analytical ideas that are used with big data. Many companies today use this idea like Home Depot did originally with RFID chips. They would take everything and chip all their products, so when it came up and was scanned, they knew in real time they needed to order one more, or a little more in inventory, or maybe 50 sheets of plywood. They also knew ambiguously what each store had. So if there was a big storm front coming in on the ocean, the Atlantic, they may want to prepare for their stores in Florida to stockpile on what? You got it, plywood, tape, insulation, plastic, things that they'll need in disaster recovery. They might bring in sand and sand bags. They also can look at how much inventory is currently in the store from the data and what they're observing to whether or not a decision needs to be made to bring in more or less. They can look at past weather and patterns and see how much was sold during this time and bring in more or less. These are all reasons for data warehouses. Companies invest tons and tons of money into understanding what the data means, but while having it and capturing and storing it, they can't do anything. Think about a lot of things today and how this can help you in your life. You say, well, what does that mean? Well, think about traffic patterns alone. What if we start capturing all the data on car traffic flow on Interstate 75 to Atlanta? And you're driving into school or driving to Macon from Atlanta, or vice versa, wanting to go home. You may want to look at the traffic pattern flow and how much cars are on the road at one particular time and say, you know what, I know that there's a lot of cars from 8 in the morning till 9, or from 6 in the morning till 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to head towards Atlanta because there's so much influx. Or going home, I don't want to be in that area from 4 to 6. So you may want to schedule your classes around that and say, well, I want to take classes only from noon to 4 o'clock. Or I want to take evening courses because everybody's heading home from Macon and I can easily go down the road. All this data can easily be stored. We can count the number of cars, we can use it by day, by week, by time. It can all be broken down to get information to make choices. We can do this as students. You can do this as an actual business owner to say, well, I know that there's X amount of students driving down I-75 at this time. They all pass one particular point. I know they're all students because I'm looking at the data from the school, how many students travel from Atlanta to Macon or Macon to Atlanta to go to school. So therefore, I'm going to put my business at this point where I can capture the most audience of students and what's important to them. It might be a particular car brand, or a car dealer might market only this type of car because they know the population driving is young students who are interested more so in Honda Accords. or fancy sharp Mustangs, cars that are flashy, bright yellow, bright red. They'll change their inventory according to the times that people are driving in that demographic that are most interested in buying a vehicle. Our world's really interesting because we're looking to capture everything. We're looking to store the data, protect the data, and I say protect because think of this information as healthcare. Every time you walk into the hospital, your data is protected. You give out your ID, your blood type, your name, your insurance, your address. Imagine what an attacker could do with this information. It can be used deceptively as well, versus your doctor could look at this data and understand whether or not there's certain elements in your diet that needs change. If you're being deficient in vitamin D or iron, they could tell you to eat more spinach. Doesn't really make you happy, but we can use data analytics in the healthcare to help solve problems too. Yes, there is deception. Someone could attack your healthcare records and get all your information. They could get to your banking possibly, your Social Security records. It is a danger, so there's a big world of cyber out there that needs to be protected from. So data has a lot of things we got to think about and a lot of career choices. Even these records that are stored in these computers behind us, every time we're in a classroom with an in-house class, you're entering data. Think about your papers. If you leave the screen on and someone walks up to it, you got it. They can plagiarize you. You can steal it. If you leave a system open so that somebody can come in and grab all of my data, they can get all the test answers. You guys wouldn't use that. You wouldn't cheat. I know. Not in my class. Well, gang, just a little thought about data and the way it works and why we house these things, what we use it for business solutions. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day.